Hi, I'm Jenny. Thanks for stopping by my channel, Designs with Paper. Today we are going to do an art journal page where we focus on white space. So this art journal page is just a page I thought I would sit down and play around with. I have a bunch of pieces of pattern paper that I'm just going to tear up and trim up and layer onto this piece of mixed media paper. This paper is approximately 8.5 by 5.5 inches. Some of these papers that I'm tearing up will not even make it onto the art journal page. I did not have any particular image or quote or prompt for this page. I had seen on Pinterest a number of pages that used a lot of white space, and that is something I struggle with. I don't do white space very well. I'm trying to teach myself to back off and let there be a little bit of empty space. So the first thing I have done is taking my Mod Podge, and this is the matte Mod Podge, and I'm just going to start layering up these pieces of torn paper. They're just scraps out of my pattern paper bin that I figured I may as well use. The one thing about art journaling is that very often you will spend some time creating this layer and then cover it up. And it really is just for the texture, the dimension, the look, the end product ends up being substantially more dimensional when you have multiple layers. And that's what I am going to be doing here tonight. So in addition to experimenting with my inability to leave space open, I will also be experimenting with adding layers. I just have decided, okay, this is where I'm going to stop. I feel like it's good enough, and we're going to be done with that. So I will go ahead and trim off these pieces, and you can see I just cut them. The footage in this video is sped up about double time, and I did edit out some of the cleanup and the fuss. So the next thing I'm going to do now that this has dried is I'm going to add gesso on top of it. And white gesso at that, not even a clear gesso. I am trying to add a little bit. I want to push these papers back. I don't want them to be the thing that you see. I just want them to be there for interest, for visual interest. So I have this white gesso. I think it's Liquitex, I'm not sure. And I'm even watering it down a little bit to kind of push that gesso back even farther, to thin it out even a little bit more. Because while I don't want that paper to be the focal point, I do want it to be there. And when gesso dries, it does dry back even more. So now I have this honeycomb stencil. I think it's Heidi Swap. And I have some texture paste. This is our modeling paste. I think this is also a Liquitex. It was just one that I had in my drawer. And this is a little bit thick. It's not super soft or creamy. And I am just adding some texture paste through the stencil in various parts of this page. I'm not really paying attention to where it's going. I'm not thinking about the rule of thirds. I'm not thinking about visual triangle. I'm just adding some paste. You do need to make sure with the paste that you clean it off the stencil quickly or it will dry and not come off. So the next thing I have done is grab some of my ink pad reinkers and a spray bottle. And I am just adding some, I have a green and a blue and a yellow. And true story, I can't remember if I used the blue. It has been a while since I did this page. But I did just kind of put it up at the top of the page there, and there's the blue. I did use the blue. And then wet it down so that it drips. And you can see now with the color on there that that texture from the texture paste and the stencil and the layers of the paper behind the gesso are pulling out that color. Next thing I want to do is add some text. So I have this text stamp that I'm inking up with an archival ink, and I'm not worried about full coverage stamping. I'm just kind of getting some more interest on this page. Eventually, I will go back and put something on the page, but when it was done, I decided I wanted to just leave it. So the next thing I've done is taken some circle punches and punched out some circles. I felt like I needed just a little bit more geometric. I don't know. I just wanted circles. And I don't know, I think it's a 1/2 inch punch, and I'm just stamping up some of the papers that I put on the back, just more from the pile on my desk. And I'm just going to stamp or punch rather a number of circles. And I actually think I used like a 1/2 inch and a 3/4 inch. I think there's a couple different sizes of punches there. And I will go ahead and put these down with matte medium. And again, I'm just kind of, okay, where do I think I need this? Okay, right here. And I did think a little bit more about placement on this. I wanted to group them together in, I wanted to group them together. I didn't want lone circles hanging out on the page anywhere. I did try to keep in mind the concept of odd numbers because odd numbers are more visually appealing to our brains. Now that I have these circles on there, I am going to take a black watercolor pencil and just outline them and then go over it with a water brush. I don't want a ton of water on this paper. I don't want the black watercolor pencil to go everywhere. I want those circles to be more defined though, to be more part of the foreground and less part of the background. So I just kind of went back over it with the colored pencil and the water brush, just until I felt like it was outlined and complete. This is again just one of those pages where I just wanted to sit down and play. It was not something I had pre-planned other than to pull some supplies together and focus on that white space concept. As you can see, I didn't do terrible, but there is not a lot of blank space on this page. I still kind of went for the add it all in there kind of idea. I did take that black watercolor pencil and kind of go around some of those other layers that are under the gesso and go around that texture paste that was put down through the stencil. Again, just to kind of bring those shapes to the foreground and make them a little bit more part of the focal image and instead of the background. And I'm just kind of playing around. I haven't spent a lot of time using these mediums together, and for sure this is the first time I've used reinkers on an art journal page as the color, and it's very subtle. It's not in your face, it's just there. And I will continue to go around these pencils, or these circles rather, until I feel like they are finished. And I think this is when I decide I'm just going to be done. So I've added a few pictures of the final page, the end product, and a few of them are close-ups, and you will be able to see the texture paste that was applied through that hexagon stencil. And you will be able to see the black watercolor pencil around the circle punch outs. You will be able to see the script stamp that I used on the page, and also the postmark stamp that I had forgotten about until I looked back at this page and looked at the photos. I enjoyed the process. I think the page all in took me nearly an hour, but that includes the cleanup and the drying time. I think I have a lot to learn about white space and leaving some space blank still, but I do like how this page turned out. It was really nice to just sit down and create something. Let me know what you think. I love to see your comments. Do me a favor and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and share my channel. And if you liked the video, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give me a thumbs down. I would love to hear your opinion on this page. Thanks for stopping by.